Welcome to the Tennis Warehouse racket review of the Head Prestige MP. Previously available at Tennis Warehouse Europe, the Prestige MP crosses the pond and is now available at TW. This Prestige MP combines an 18-19 string pattern, has a classic 21.5mm straight beam, and a 99 square inch head size that's engineered for precision. An 11.5 ounce strong weight gives the racket a light pickup feel. However, the only 3 points headlight balance means there's still ample mass behind the ball as indicated by the 327 swing weight. A Flexi 62RA offers a plush feel which is further enhanced by Head's comfortable feeling Auxetic 2 technology. I'm a big fan of rackets with 18 mains. I'm a huge Prestige fan, and so this was a really fun playtest for me. I love the precision of this racket. When I was hitting it against the pro we've also recently been testing, I found I was working a little bit harder just from my rally ball and when I was just hitting and having fun, but when I played points, I found tons more precision out of this one. I could really dial in my targets, and yet I got surprising pace in my flat shots. I was able to get the ball away, hit some winners that I don't usually hit, usually finishing the point off of the net, but I was getting some clean winners from the baseline, which is not common for me, especially with such a control-oriented racket. Up at net, lots of feel, lots of control, like just giving a little bit of slice and some junk on the volleys just to get it to die quickly and away from my opponent. And I found this a great racket to do it with, and it has that silky smooth Prestige feel, so I felt really dialed in on my touch shots. On serve, good access to pace on my flatter deliveries, getting some nice slice and bite on the ball on my slice serve, so that was working well. Didn't really feel like I had to give up much either on a first or a second serve. And in point play, I really played well with it. Very happy with my level of play. Probably not enough to take me away from the Prestige Classic 2.0 or the Speed Pro, which I'm hitting primarily. But this was a really fun play test. Probably one of my favorite head rackets in the lineup right now.
I have always been a big fan of the Prestige lineups in general, especially the Pro. So every time I used to get on court to play test this frame, I used to subconsciously compare this with the Pro. So it's a great blend of power and control, especially the way they've thickened the beam just a little bit from the Pro. I think it's a 0.5mm thicker and slightly bigger head with a little bit more open string pattern. It's giving you a lot of power, which I was surprised by initially, because that's not something you expect out of a Prestige frame, but it did well for me. The string pattern did open up just a little bit, so you're also getting a little bit more spin, which I really did like. I was able to bend or shape the ball to my liking, and so you still get that Prestige feel, which I really did like. I really like the fact that they were able to Head was able to keep that Prestige feel, but also add that modern racketness to it. They did make it a bit lighter than the Pro, so you are able to whip it a bit more. That's what I found at serves especially. I'm able to whip the racket a bit more, get the more pronation in, and the serves were landing in all the time. Even with the flat on the tee, out wide, or even kick serves out wide, I was able to do all of that with this frame. At the end of the day, I really did enjoy playing with this Prestige MP. Like I said, it still has that good old Prestige feel with that modern power and control to it. So if you're looking for anything of the sort where you get a lot of feel, you get a lot of control, but you still get that modern spin and power, look no further. You have to try out the Prestige MP.
I think I should start off by saying spec-wise, this is right on the edge of where I feel comfortable swinging a racket. So I did find that it was a bit taxing to use over an extended period of time. Now, on my ground strokes, coming from an open 16x19 string pattern racket, I did feel like I needed to acclimate to this 18x19. At the beginning, I was kind of dumping some shots into the net, but so I did have to get used to that. And then once I did, though, I did find this racket to be a little bit more sluggish than I would have liked. It was tougher to generate racket head speed for me. But I did really like that it felt really solid against bigger hitters. I felt like I could block shots back with depth and good control as well. And actually, when I did get a nice sitter ball, I was able to put the ball away with ease. This racket does provide some nice mass base power. Up at net, I really did like it on my volleys. It was nice kind of point and shoot there. Really solid and stable. And then on my serves, I was struggling also a little bit to get some pop on my serves. I felt like it didn't give me a lot of free power there, but I really did like that I was able to find my targets really well on my serve. Overall, I think if you're a really strong 4-0 to 4-5 player and you're looking for a racket that's going to give you a bit more control, a bit more feel, this is a great option. But for me, this racket was just a little bit out of my wheelhouse. So in the Prestige line, I would lean more toward the MPL.
What's up, everyone? Super excited to be talking about this Prestige MP from Head today. On paper, this is very much appearing to be a control-oriented racket with its denser 18 by 19 string pattern, of course, the 99 square inch head size, and as well as the inherent control sort of ascribed to the Prestige line in general. So when I actually got this racket out on court, I was very much surprised that it proved to more or less be an absolute cannon from the baseline. With very little effort, I was getting very good depth and lots of net clearance. So that made backhands really fun, you know, just hammering into either corner, either one hand or two hand, lots of good control for hitting my spots. But the extra power access was really helpful on the forehand side, especially from a defensive standpoint. And when stepping into my shots, I really enjoyed how I could just pick my targets and then go after them. But I will say that the slightly higher swing weight was at times a little bit harder to maneuver. And then you combine that with the elongated shaft construction for the beam geometry. Wasn't always the smoothest, you know, as far as the take back or volleys go. But thankfully, the extra depth and power of the frame helped sort of counteract a lot of that. But above the shoulder, the racket handles really well. Again, picking out spots is pretty easy on serve. For volleys, it was sometimes a little bit harder to hit my spots, but again, the extra depth went a long way. For this playtest, we strung up the racket with Headlinks Tour at 53 pounds, our usual testing tension. For anything tennis related, check us out at Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, and Tennis Only.